Here's Brody Brazil.
All right, what if I told you I knew a way to make you love watching sports broadcasts even more than you already do? It's just one simple thing. Actually, it's technically kind of difficult to pull off, but what if we mic'd up almost everything on a sports broadcast and made that part of your viewing experience? Oftentimes we talk about the viewing experience as in, hey, 4K and super slow-mo replays and cameras everywhere. They're in the nets, they're behind the backboards, but the one thing we're not really able to do on television broadcasts is let you hear the same kind of access as you're actually seeing. This is kind of the elusive barrier to watching sports on television. Again, sports fans here in 2025, you can generally see everything. And sometimes you have to do lip reading to understand, what are they saying? What are they talking about? What could that conversation right there be all about? In fact, that's kind of part of watching sports is the imagination. What are those two players saying on the bench? What is that meeting at the mound all about? How will they approach this next hitter? How about on the sidelines, the play calling card going over the coach's mouth? Wouldn't you love to hear what that coach is saying on the headset on the broadcast so everybody can hear? But sports fans, they can generally see everything, but they've never been able to actually hear what goes on during a sports contest. So miking up players and coaches and referees is kind of the final frontier of sports broadcasting access. It has never really happened. And unfortunately, I'm here to kind of tell you later on why there are some reasons it might never happen. However, it's not the reasons you might be thinking of. First off, let's get into this. What do sports fans want? Why do they want microphones everywhere? Why do they want a mic on a player, maybe while they're at bat or a pitcher-catcher situation? Fans want insight, right? They want to kind of know, hey, this is actually what's going on in the game. Here's the approach. Here's the strategy we came into this game with. They want to know just a little bit more. They're curious. They've invested their time in watching this team or these players or this game. And yeah, obviously they want more insight. They also want truthfulness. Instead of imagining what was said and what play was called and how this is going to go, how about what actually was said? And the conversations and the human emotions and sentiment behind sports contests. Entertainment. It's fun, right? It's fun to maybe even watch some of the back and forth and chirping and jabbering and trash talking. Now, we've got to get into the appropriate nature of some of this stuff, or not, in just a second too, but it's entertainment, right? And I do think that we would have to, if this ever were a thing, if there were this type of access, and I know some leagues have tried it out, like the XFL was very much a pioneer in microphones everywhere, but if you are going to enjoy this access, it may have to come at a different parental guidance rating than you would normally expect with sports. But access, fans want access. They want to be part of this. That's why they want to sit close to the rink or the field or the pitch, because they want access. Here's some wish list ideas. Like, how would you mic up players? How would you do this even more? How about just inside a locker room or a dressing room? This doesn't even need to be intrusive. They don't even need to wear a microphone. Just put 4 microphones on each corner of the room. Let's hear the pregame speech in the NBA or the NHL. Baseball, they don't really do that as much, too many games. Or the NFL. And sometimes they do give you this, but it's usually tape delayed, right? So they edit out the parts. They really comb and filter through what they do and don't want you to hear. How about eavesdropping on a meeting at the pitcher's mound? Again, I think that would be super compelling, right? Maybe it would be such, it would be in such detail that the average fan would say, "What? I don't even know what they just said right there." But that would be interesting to actually hear what they're talking about. To listen into the huddle during a timeout, like in the NBA. Take a timeout, everybody comes over to the bench, draw something up. Let's hear what you're drawing up as you talk about drawing it up. Or just to hear bench chatter during a game, right? All right, let's listen into what they're saying on the Warriors bench as they're up by 5 with 3 minutes to go. All of these things, right? Like, you're loving this. You can't even imagine this because you know it's hardly possible because you've heard all these excuses over the years. Number one is that games have been shown on traditional broadcast television for a lot of years, and actually now, in more recent times, cable networks. But as you get into streaming, you don't have the FCC knocking on your door. That one curse word that's going to cost you $75,000 every time it's said. And it's just a normal run-of-the-mill curse word. I won't even say one of them here, but you understand my point. Nobody wants to get into those problems. And also, teams are a little bit sensitive about how their players look and maybe too much cursing once in a while. Look, we know it's part of sports, but foul language over and over again, it used to get people in trouble. Well, nowadays with other platforms of watching games, there is no FCC like on the internet to tell you really what to do. It was never really worth the risk. And when I say risk of like giving away strategy or somebody saying something terribly regrettable in the heat of the moment, and let me be very fair and honest, those things do happen. You get adrenaline, you get somebody in a mental mindset of competition, and they're not thinking properly. They're thinking about the game, they're thinking about their job and executing, but they are not thinking sensibly, and they say something, again, I'll use the wholesale term, regrettable. So it's never worth the risk. How about giving up strategy? Not worth the risk. Microphone technology, I mean, even 20 years ago, you'd have to have the mic here, but a big pack somewhere on you. At least nowadays, it's a tiny little mic that can fit anywhere, and it's really not very intrusive. Built-in excuses also included the fact that, well, we can only show all the mic'd up segments on replay. We can never have this live. We can never show you what they're saying as they're saying it because we don't know what they're going to say. So it meant that everything that you got to enjoy, which has been cool, don't get me wrong, mic'd up has always been fun to watch. It was always just heavily vetted and filtered before you got to see it. Now let me get to the real reasons why it can't happen. I mean, this is everything right here of why, yeah, it might be a great idea, but why this will never actually come to fruition, I don't think, in the near future for sports teams and leagues. Number one is superstition. Like, nobody wants to have all of that, like all the strategy and preparation normally for a game and so much competition and what they're going up against. They don't want to have to think about, well, oh yeah, not only do I have to compete at the highest level, but everything I say can be captured and broadcast and put on social media. And if I slip up, it's just one less thing I want to think about. And I guess this also kind of falls into the same category of inconvenience down here, but superstition as in, I've never done this before. Why would I do this now? Why would I get into something like this? This is going way above and beyond, and this is not part of what I signed up for. And superstition in terms of luck or things aren't going to go well, or the idea that this is going to be a bad thing. So a lot of times superstition is part of it. Inconvenience, like I said, if you've never had to do this before, why now? Strategy is a huge one, right? Teams, and especially in hockey, where there is so much of a secretive nature surrounding strategy and players' health and details, things like that. Nobody wants to give away an ounce of what they know or their plan, and once their terminology or their system gets out and how they play, then it's out there for everybody, right? That's why like NFL teams guard their playbooks so heavily. They used to actually be physical playbooks. Now they're on an iPad. I would imagine there are multiple layers of security, and they can wipe every single iPad if a player were to lose one on a bus or an airplane or a hotel or whatnot. There is so much put into strategy, but also the protection of strategy. There's no way teams will allow, a broadcast network or any old fan to figure out, okay, we can listen to the entire game with the microphone on said player or said coach. We can pick up everything they know. It's just not going to happen. Again, inappropriate comments, regrettable comments, stuff that never should be coming out of anybody's mouth, sometimes gets said. And it sometimes gets said by fans to players, and then players back to fans, or players to players. And all of this happens, and all of this is the ugly nature of sports, but nobody wants to platform that. And you have to understand that too. Also, and this is one that people don't normally expect, officials are a huge part of this. There's so much back and forth, and sometimes there is a disrespect towards officials. I'm talking about umpires, referees, you name it, that the officials are like, wait a second, we don't want to have our calls, our judgment, be not only criticized as they normally are, but now for everybody to hear, so we look like the bad people. It's an impossible thing to have happen. And I know, again, this would instantly make you love watching sports even more. I can't even describe, and maybe you're aware of it, maybe you're not even aware, how much you would love the game watching experience if there were more microphones involved. If the amount of hearing stuff was equal to the amount of seeing stuff, what it would be like for you. I don't even know that you have an idea. Trust me, you would, but trust me, it's a very hard thing to pull off. In fact, maybe even impossible. That's the end of this video. Thanks for sticking around all the way to the final seconds. Thumbs up down below. That greatly helps me and this video and this channel. And one more thing, Wait, why am I doing thumbs up again? If you would also go down there and hit that subscribe button, I would appreciate it. That way I definitely get to see you back here next time.